Hi there, and welcome to Bustthenet. Yes, this is another episode of that show I like to call Game Changers. It's a special show on Football Manager for people who submit their saves into me for me to take a look. And this time around, I've got a save here. Pretty excited with this save. It comes from Miguel Ferreira. He's managing Portsmouth, and he's got a bit of a challenge ahead of him. He's done pretty well. His history, as you can see, they were in League One, and he got them promoted through, and now he's in the Championship, and he's got targets set for him. The board. Let's check out what the targets for him are from the board. Competition performance, Championship. Basically, make it to the playoffs. We still expect the team to end up finishing in the top half of the table. So, nevertheless, we want to do well and get probably, I think, with some tweaks, you may even be able to get promoted as one of the top two. But to do that, we have to prepare and we have to get the best out of our side. Taking a quick look now, just into training team. You're following one of these customized training programs. That's good, but the moment I see somebody doing this, I always check the notebook to see whether or not they keep a track of their training. Now remember, when you do something like this, it's every 3 months, but the overview shows that you have been changing, so that's not too bad. You've been going with ball control, defending, and tactical. Fine. um Now, these all work on specific attributes. You have to understand this. So if you're not sure what these attributes are, you should return to balance. But if you know exactly what attributes are being worked on, then that's fine. Personally, mine are usually attacking, tactical, ball control. Sometimes I have fitness, ball control, tactical, and other times I've got defending, ball control, and fitness. It depends on the kind of teams I manage because they all work on different attributes. Now, this does not mean that the other attributes don't get worked on. It just means that there's extra emphasis on those attributes. When you do something like this, you have to be absolutely certain about how you're training your boys. So you've gone in there and you've given them specific training, which is good. But I would be very, very specific. Like here, you've got a player on training and he's generic. Now, when you have a specific training schedule like that, it's a very good idea for you to form some kind of a plan for your players. And in this particular case, how do you want a Deyimi to be playing in your system? And I'm looking at his attributes. This is the first time I got this player into my team. I'll be looking at him from a point of view where he can actually be a Carrerello or a holding player in midfield. He makes for a pretty decent ball winner. He's got some work rate, decent positioning. He would make for a decent Carrerello. And then I would then focus on the attributes I want to see improved in him. If that is the goal we're setting for him, then what we can do, if you notice this, if he's on a central midfielder training, it's going to be very specific. You will know the areas that are being covered. But because we don't expect him to get into the opponent's box, we can easily set him to be like a Carrero, and then he works on just the basic attributes, which are going to be helpful for us when we want him to develop in a very specific way. Now, here when we're looking at his other attributes, we can see his first touch is a bit weak. His composure might be a bit weak. Under pressure, he might not be very good. So then what we do is we go to these attributes and we start improving them. So here we can improve his positioning. We can also improve his composure so that when he gets the ball and if you're playing against a team that's playing very attacking, then you can he does okay. Now he won't lose the ball that easily. Of course, you want to also work on his balance, so you can actually tweak his training. So for each attribute, I'll leave them on for about, depends on how long I want to keep the player. Sometimes for about a point increase in attribute training, he has to be in a winning team, to be playing regularly, and it will take approximately 4 to 5 months before you see a point increase. Sometimes 3 months, you might be lucky, you get a point increase straight away. It depends on the personality. It also depends on the training facilities you have and the coaches that you have. Now, the intensity level, now this is going to be interesting because you can set it to heavy. You notice that his individual training workload has now become heavy. That's cool because you have the bandwidth in your training program because you're not You haven't your whole team is on overall medium, so you've got like 1.5 days of match preparation. That's fine. Now we've already in November. By November, I'll kick off this and I'll start focusing on specific toolkits in my side, because if I'm going into a game where I'm desperate to get better movement off the ball, I get those attributes that relate to attacking movement, they get a slight boost in the next game. So this becomes very handy. So when people leave it on match tactics, I typically only leave it on match tactics. The longest I go with it is September. After that, I'm off match tactics. There's no point being on match tactics. It doesn't do anything for your team apart from making them better with the tactics. But they get better with the tactics anyway over time. So I would remove these match tactics and teamwork basically in preseason. Once you're out of preseason, use one of the four here. These are more positive for the team in the long run. It's going to be much better for you. Okay, in terms of your I also want to check, because you're in the English Premiership, right? So what are the rules regarding Brexit? Have you been hit by Brexit? This will affect how you can apply for players who have got a work permit. Now, here, as far as the loan rules are concerned, transfer for players without a current permit percentage, they have to be playing in 30% top 10, 45%. Let's assume they're in the 31st and 50 band range. That means basically nearly every single team in Europe and South America. 75% and above, they have to be a regular first team player. Transfer a player with current work permit, percentage of international appearances in recent matches. So you can only basically loan players who have international permits. This is a bit of a bummer. And then work permit rules, that's for loans. Minimum of 4 points required based on the following criteria. This is interesting because while your loans are very interesting, when it comes to applying for work permit rules, you can bend it a bit. You can it looks to me, I might be wrong, because I don't really focus a lot on Brexit anyway. I just wing it half the time. But here it looks like if you want to make sure that he gets the work permit, you got to make sure that he's given a decent wage. So it's got to be in the top 33% of your wage bracket. And then all he has to do is be an active player for a club playing in the top 6 leagues of in Europe. So you're focusing on the top 6 leagues only, and this will ensure that you can get him in. So this rules out leagues like Ireland, Scotland. So you're looking at leagues like Spain. So basically, you're looking at all the top leagues, La Liga, the top leagues in Spain. It's worth trying to get players from there. If you can scout them out, that'll be good. But your primary focus will definitely be the UK and Ireland, because it's easier to find players there. As long as they're homegrown in the nation, you should be fine. I would definitely not limit myself just to those players in the UK. I will still get my scouts out, because what happens is some of these players, they might be developed internally from some of the top clubs, and they might be available on the cheap, and you can get them to come in. So you never know. So I would definitely be keeping my eye out for those kind of players, because when I'm playing a save like this, I'm looking for free signings, like end of contract signings sometimes, and this can be quite handy, because if you keep tracking these players, is not a bad thing. Now let's take a look at your shortlist. Your shortlist, UK and Ireland, as I would have expected, but it's not a very detailed shortlist, which is, well, there's nothing wrong with this. Some people have very small shortlists. I have very large shortlists, because my scouts are always out there. You got 10 scouts and 8 are unassigned. It means that you're really underutilizing your scouts. So if you don't want to do this, then let your scouts go. You got remaining 23%. Your transfer budget is 950k. This is where you need to start thinking about balancing things out. You might want to move your money over to here. That you can do easily. Just move the scouting budget slider all the way to the right, and you get 1 million in your scouting budget. Yes, you can get up to 1 million in your scouting budget. And what you end up doing is, you could go up the tiers. I don't know, but this will require board approval, because these are all grayed out, so you can't get any higher. So you want to go to the board, make a board request. If you want to scout further, then you go for increasing your scouting range. improving your youth recruitment. This is interesting. I notice you've gone for expanding the stadium before improving youth recruitment. I would improve youth recruitment before expanding the stadium. But this could have been due to the fact that you just got promoted. But there are certain things that you want to be consistently doing. Improving your youth facilities, increasing your youth level, because these are still relatively cheap. So I would try and get these up so that when we are faced with a situation where we are limited by the players that we can sign, sometimes you got to develop them internally, and you never know, because once your um your youth recruitment goes up, there are two things you want: improve the youth recruitment, and you want to where is your staff, increase the junior coaching budget. So basically that's why there we go, increase the junior coaching budget. Both of these will contribute towards improving the quality of the boys that are coming through between the ages of 14 and 16. So when you see this trialies, there will be a new tab here when trialies come into the club. You might be able to pick some players. And in some of my clubs, I've got quite a number of players that have come through the tiers. So it definitely is one option. And this is going to be valuable for you in the long run. Not maybe this season, but maybe 4 seasons from now. So it's good to set it up early. And then all you do is you keep improving it if you're on good standing with the board, of course. Okay, now in terms of your training and your coaches, I'm looking at your coaches. That's not too bad. This is limited by your budget and what you can do. I'm assuming that you try to balance it out as well as you can. Average is okay, but you want to be aiming for light. But naturally, that depends on the coaches that you can hire. You don't want to go overboard just yet. But eventually, what you're going to be doing is even coming here to the coaching team and hiring coaching team. I see you're full up already. That's good. But this group is more important. So this group is also full up, and it's a pretty good coaching team. The only one area that you might be suffering with is defensive coaching. This we can find out from your under 23s, and then we go to training and look at the coaches. Everything seems fine. Defensive, as you should be fine. It's just relative to the rest of the league. Okay, so we've done the cursory look at the whole setup. Right now, let's take a look at how your squad is doing vis-a-vis the rest of the league. Well, you've lost 6 games this season. Huddersfield, Fulham, Cardiff, Sheffield Wednesday, Hull City, and Crystal Palace. What about the expectations for your club? The club, as we know, you're expected to fight for playoff spots. So generally, there are a whole bunch of clubs. You need to know who you can beat and who you can't beat, right? So you're always going to have to keep track of these clubs. You need to, when you go into matches, you need to know which are the matches you have to win, because these are matches you should be winning. So then when you prepare for these matches, you prepare in a specific way. And then when you go for the matches that are tougher, who are the teams that are at the top of the table that you have to contend with. So here, what I do is I go to season preview, and then I look at the odds. Now, Portsmouth 350 to 1. Okay. And your board expects you to get into the playoff spots. So that's not too bad. You got a very ambitious board. Either that or you made promises. Okay, so this is very ambitious. 350 to 1. This is going to be tough because you are actually you've got this whole bunch of people, teams rather, that are seeking to clobber you. Wolves, Huddersfield, and Crystal Palace. Naturally, these are very big clubs. They will be, you find it very hard to beat them. So every match below, you got to be winning all of them. And then you got to have a strategy when you go away from home to come up with a strategy where you keep the ball or make it really hard for them to score against you. So that becomes something that we have to look at. Now, tactics, before I go into your tactics, I just want to find out what tactics you've been using. So in the last 5 matches, you've been using the 4-2-3-1 DM wide and the 4-1-2-3 DM wide. So I noticed this tactic popped up twice. 15 matches, okay, so this tactic is only popped up recently. So these last 13 matches, you've been using this system. We go to the last 20 matches, and this should cover the whole season up to today. Okay, basically you've been using this system. This system has just come into play, and you haven't done very well in the 4 matches that you started with the tactic. So let's take a look at your results. Naturally, one of the toughest things to do is setting up your season. Now, your preseason is kind of interesting because for me personally, I typically have tough teams here. These are my 2 tough teams. typically, usually I don't have time for the first game. The second game is still a bit of warm up. But these 3 games are the games that I will test myself out with. Like, I want to find out how good we are. So I will typically line up a tough team. Teams like, I may even pick teams in the Premiership, like the lower tier teams, because if I can hold them to draws, it's a good sign. Then I'm planning all my tactics around giving, how can I set up a tactic that can control space and deny space? And I'm looking at transition events in those matches to give me a clue. And then the last 2 friendlies are my come score as many goals tactics. These are when I'm going for morale boosters. So here I'll probably pick a club that is really low rep, small rep, and I send my boys out to harm them. Score as many as possible. Okay, so we've got your first game here, Crystal Palace. You played this match. You had a player sent off in the 81st minute. So not good, but also a sign that I'd be worried about these kind of things. Like okay, sometimes the sending off is because of a rash 2-footed challenge. Sometimes the sending off is because you couldn't do anything, right? You had no options. Your players had no options. So Crystal Palace are playing a very nice system. It's basically a 5-2-2-1. And we have to speed this up because this will take all day. All right, so Portsmouth at the back. You play out the midfield. Bulio. Okay, this guy is going to be on his own. So I'm looking at this transition. Okay, that is not really the ideal thing I would have wanted him to do. Provided this guy is a genius on the ball, he's going to be closed down so fast. Yeah, I didn't even. This is the first time I've seen the highlight. Okay, you'll lose the ball. So that transition event is a failure. So when I'm looking at my transitions, I'm looking at transition points. That was a transition point, and I'm actually looking to see what's happened. Now that little move where the ball is played will tell me 2 things. One, I'm looking at whether or not if you could play that kind of a setup. I do that with Liverpool all the time. But there I have a player who's got very good off the ball, very good acceleration, first touch and balance. He takes the ball down. The moment he takes the ball down, the defender is toast because he's just going to skin him and get behind him. But then we need to know whether what we expect to see is very important. So what did you expect to see here? Did you expect that as well? So if that was what you expected to see, then you've got the wrong player for that position. So that essentially is what that's a transition failure. So you have to start identifying. So now I'll actually step out of this. We got Chaplin here. We got, what the heck? Hinteregger is his name. So we got Chaplin. I think that's his name, right? I think so. It looked like his name was Chaplin. Connor Chaplin. There we go. Connor Chaplin's acceleration is 15. His balance is only 12. So he can't return. He can't shift his body weight left and right to beat a challenge. Now this is important because agility and balance both work hand in hand together. His bravery is only 5. So if somebody comes in with a lunging challenge, Connor Chaplin is not going to continue. He's just going to, okay, you take the ball away from me. You go. Thank you very much. I'm off. You have the ball. First touch is only 10. So if you play the ball to him, if you expect to control the ball, it's not going to work. So how would I play him? I would look to play him into space where he doesn't have that problem. He can get away, and I hope to God that he gets away quickly so they can deliver across. So the person who's playing the pass has to be a genius because that was a cross diagonal from deep on the other flank. So this player, he doesn't have what it takes to have beaten that defender, and we don't need to see any more. We don't need to go and check out the defenders' ratings at the moment. Finally, his work rate is only 11, so he may not even work very hard, but that's a moot point at the moment. Stamina is only 10. He might not last, but he's only 22 years old, so he can grow. He's a left-footed player that can cut inside, that we could train to cut inside from that flank to be a striker. Inside forward is a very appealing role for him. However, he's going to always have to come in with space, because if he doesn't come in with space, problem for Connor Chaplin is the challenges that are thrown at him and his need to control the ball well are going to be factors that could cause him to lose the ball because he's not that good. So Connor Chaplin, that just tells us the highlight. So this is how you look at transition points. So now this transition point, Connor Chaplin is out here. So we got we got these three players. Alan, now we got Alan Jr. Alan Jr. was playing that kind of a pass. Now, I'll go back to the squad again, and this is what I do. I go into the squad. We got Alan Jr. now. He's an AMR striker, right? Very good strength. He can hold up the ball. He's not very good in the air. His jumping reach is so. It's like 13. We basically, okay, he might be good in space, but if he's in the box, he's average. Because I checked the jumping reach for the rest of the league. It's 13 is not high. I think your jumping reach for the rest of the league is almost 15. Then we've got his passing, vision, and decisions. Now that becomes important. His passing is 12, his vision is 11, his decisions is 12. So he's very average. He's going to make, he's basically, for every 2 passes he makes, 1 will always be a average. 1 may not be a great pass because his technique in itself is also very low. So asking him to make those kind of killer passes, wow, it's not a good idea because you're going to lose the ball. So when I'm looking at this player, that's what I see. So that it's important to look at transition points and I start identifying what could have happened in that game itself. So we go back to the pitch and then I'm looking at the transition points. Okay, now the ball goes to midfield. Again, this is a much better ball because now he's in space. So he goes wide and he gets the ball in. So that's brilliant because if so we know that either we fix how the ball is delivered to him from the left flank, he gets into space, but if he can get into space, his pace and acceleration might allow him to drill the ball into the box, but then he becomes a winger from the left. He's playing from the left side, so he's got to turn his body and then deliver the cross, which can be quite a deadly cross, but it still defeats the purpose of having him on the right flank. If you wanted him to cross the ball, we would have put him on the left flank. So now the thing here is that, this is something that we have to consider as well. So this transition, there was a red card in that. In fact, we basically saw a transition. I wanted to understand why a player got sent off, but we ended up looking at transition points. So here I'm looking at your team as they move the ball across the pitch. Here's a crossover. This is interesting because you got 2 players crossing over, and basically you've got this Da Silva driving it to Gomez. But as you can see here, what happens to Gomez when he gets the ball? How many options does he have? He only has 1 option. He's got to play a killer pass. So you're putting a lot of pressure on your players. So he plays a simple pass back to Berringame, to Kovac, to Clark, Nodo. So this is good because you're playing a fluid shape and everybody is supporting each other. Here we go, Bifulco. Oh, I see. Bifulco was the first player. Then it was Conan Chaplin. I see. Conan Chaplin made an appearance later. Bifulco, this is nice. So the build-up is good. The pressure is good. Now we're looking at certain other areas. Okay, now when you're defending, we're looking at the defensive transition. What happens? Okay, here, this is like, okay, to a certain extent, this is okay. But when we see balls like that, we have to ask ourselves how we want to defend. The question is, where do you want to win the ball? You have to know when you're playing your tactic where you want to win. Do you want to win the ball here? Do you want to win the ball here? Do you want to win the ball here? Which of the 3 parts of the pitch do you want to win the ball? Then you look at the transitions and try to identify, if you can win the ball, then what should you be doing? At the back, Da Silva wins the ball. The support comes up very quickly, but you're not winning the second ball. That's a transition failure. So how can we improve that? The ball gets hurled up, but bang, it's the second ball. We don't get the second ball. Here, once again, we'll pop in your formation. When you play a very deep formation like that, your players that got to be fluid, have to get up. It may be okay, but in order for you to be successful, your 2 DMs have got to be in the opposite half. If they're not in the opposite half, then you're depending on the 3 guys up top to do something with the ball. That's a heavy burden to bear. So as you can see, Bifulco is on his own. He has to play the pass back. Ideally, this guy should be playing as a playmaker. In order for you to play this successfully, you're gonna have to be playing on fluid settings. Structure will put too much pressure on your boys. Here, Alan drops deep. You're playing him as a deep line forward and support. So this is very interesting. When you play this kind of a role on deep line forward and support, what becomes more important are the off the ball and acceleration of the players around him. Because if you want to play somebody with that kind of a setup, then these players have to be so fast, they should be getting into these positions very quickly. But look at what he has to do. So he's only got 1 option. He's got to play Bufulco there. And this guy, who's Adeyemi, We just saw his attributes, right? He doesn't have the attributes to attack the box. Gives you another problem. This guy will then have to have brilliant acceleration, high work rate to get into the box. So this is the dilemma that you have when you play a system like this. The only other way it's going to work is if you send the whole team up and you end up camping in an opponent's half. When Bifuku gets the ball, he has to hold the ball up, and then when he crosses the ball, there's nobody in the box. So this is a dilemma that can be fixed by changing a role. A common problem for a lot of players. A lot of players seem to think that player roles and duties are very important in this game. Yes, they are. But how do you know that you've chosen the right role or the right duty for a player? You won't if you don't know what transitions to look out for. So that's the problem, you see. Because when a transition fails, then you have to identify, was it the right role, the right duty for the player, or was the player the wrong person to be playing in that role? It could have been the right role, but it's the wrong player. Here in this particular case, what we're seeing is Gomez is dropping very deep. Okay, that's his player trait kicking in. You put another player in, you won't have that problem. Gomez is actually playing like a trequartista. He's dropped so deep that he needs brilliant off the ball running from the rest of the team. But look at where your backline is. Your backline is all the way here. So when the ball is cleared by them, this area is free, this area is free. This is when you got to think about how the heck do you move your players higher up the pitch. So while it is still not a bad situation, we can improve this tactic to create a camp in the opponent's half, so that what we end up doing is we end up controlling large periods of basically controlling space. So when I'm looking at your 4-2-3-1 DM, here we have an advanced forward. He's running like a choo-choo train. He's on his own. So you got advanced forward choo-choo training all the way into the opponent's half. You got AM on support. That's not too bad. We got ball winning midfielder who's going to be everywhere. Change his role to a DM on support. Now tell him to get further forward. Now what happens here is that you get a pivot. Now this guy is going to charge into the box. This guy is going to be in this half. You'll be fine. You will be fine. Now what do you do with this wing back? Now the wing back is an interesting role because you got so many options with this wing back. Now most people seem to think that the wing back must give them width, but you've already got these guys up top giving you width. What you desperately need is support in midfield. What you will do with these wing backs is you tell the wing backs to sit narrower. When you tell them to sit narrow, they actually work closely with the volante. So he's going to pass the ball to the volante. He's going to be around for the volante. The fullback on the other side can also be told to sit narrow. So when he gets the ball, he's going to be looking for the DM as well. So he's not going to try and launch the balls over the top. So now we've got this partnership going on. What about this guy on top? Now we noticed earlier that Chaplin has this love to drop deep. No, it wasn't Chaplin, it was somebody else. Somebody else was playing this role. It was not Chaplin, it was this guy, Alan Jr. Now, Alan Jr. was playing in this position. Now, if he's playing in this position, he has so many options. You can actually play him as a deep line forward and support. He'll drop deep. Or you can even play him as a poacher. What a poacher does, most people don't like the poacher. I don't know why, but I love the poacher. The poacher doesn't look forward, he looks back when he gets the ball. He plays the simple passes. So he's always going to find a pass, and he's always going to turn, and he's going to play the ball out to the flanks, or he's going to pass the ball to one of his players. Another role that is not bad is the defensive forward and defend. Now what this does is, he will, like, when he gets the ball, he's going to play the ball off to one of the three players here when they get into the opponent's half. So now we have an AM on support who's supporting play. You got winger on attack driving to the flanks. Now we got volante coming up. This player can be a advanced playmaker on support. So he can hold up the ball. He gets it to the receiver. The receiver holds on to the ball. You know, he becomes a ball magnet. People get attracted to him. Then you can actually do something like this. Inside forward on attack, wing on attack. So now what happens? The deep line forward drops, works very closely with the AM on support. The AM on the attacking playmaker can play balls into spaces to attack. So you got inside forward attacking this space, you got winger attacking this space. So what you end up doing is you end up dropping deep and hurling balls over the top. You also had other matches where you played against Cardiff, but you used a different system here. Once again, now I just showed you one way of analyzing a tactic using the transitions, right? What about using another method? Okay, this is my other method. So what I do is I look at shots on goal by Cardiff. So these are the These are the chances that they created. So I just look at the highlights. So here we go. The ball is worked. Now, you're not winning the ball here. You're allowing them to attack your flanks. This transition event just told me that you are allowing them to go down your flanks. What we will do is now take a look at your 4-1-2-3 Com Extremos tactic. I like this name. Now, when you want the opposition to basically play the ball into the middle, there are two ways of doing it. One, you ask these guys to apply pressure in the opponent's third, or you even tell this guy to close down early because you got halfback, defensive center back, central defender. What you can do is you can tell this guy, all right, instead of sitting back, be a bit more aggressive, close down more, and tackle harder. So what happens now is that he actually closes down, so he forces the other team to look in. So instead of giving them time to come down and bring their friends with them so they can do a 1-2 pass, he's closing down early, forcing them to look inside. So you're basically diverting traffic to where you're strongest. Now, this is harakiri. You're almost gonna shoot yourself in the foot. Because if this guy goes off, he loses the ball, then this guy, complete wingback on attack might bomb down the flank and leave it. Nobody's going to defend the flank when he's gone. Seriously, nobody's defending this flank. So when you want to do something like this, you change this guy to a Carrerello. Then you play the advanced playmaker on attack here. Now, this player is very interesting. How do I get the rest of the team to help? I can turn this guy into a defensive forward. Again, he likes to, because he likes to, Allen Jr. likes to drop deep. So if he's going to drop deep, he might as well hold up the ball and pass it to people behind, not in front. There's nobody else in front of him. So I don't want him to make any kind of heroic passes. So he can just pass the ball back. You can pass it to him. Now what I have is a wing back bombing down this way. We can also, we can turn him into a wing on support. What else can we do? We got AP attacking this way. We got inside forward attacking this way. We can turn this guy into a round outer. Inside forward on support is better. This guy can be a winger on support. But this becomes a you can turn this guy into a wingback on attack. Okay, so now this guy is a wingback that he will overlap. Defensive for inside for will come this way. Carrera will hold the ground over here. And you got a halfback here. This becomes like a controlling tactic in a sense. This is one way of playing it. Alright, so we've played 2 games. We won them both. We beat Newcastle 1-0 and we beat Derby County 2-1 away. We were expected to lose this match. This game, we used the deep 4-2-3-1. Our goal was to frustrate Newcastle to death. They never really had much of a chance to work the ball, and we managed to score 1 goal. It was off a throw-in, I think, because for large parts of the game, Newcastle couldn't even work opportunities in our box. So Neil Thompson played to Gomez, Leko just finished it. This game I had an issue because I wasn't aware. I had a problem with player selections. I actually had to go to the ass-man, ask the ass-man for help. The ass-man came back and said, we have these match rules that you have to have a player train at the club. And I went like, hell, aren't all your players trained at the club? So for the next game, I was desperate because I needed the right 11 to play. So what I did was I went to under 18s, found myself a player called Freddie Reed, who was born bred at your club, HGC. That's what you want to see. You want to see one HGC, right? Get that HGC into your first team. You'll meet your rules. So then you don't have any issues with players, right? So we set our tactic up. So my HGC is actually up here. So Reed will always be in your team. He's a youngster with a big future. I have no idea who he is. I'm just making that up. Okay, so our tactic, essentially, we started out with this 4-2-3-1. We did okay with that match, 1-0. And once again, we really dominated this game. I mean, the stats don't say the whole picture. But if you look at this, 14, we had 5 shots on target. They only had 2. We kept them at bay for a large period of time. They could hardly get a touch of the ball. And then we just ground out a win. The whole idea is for me to, you see, the problem you have is keeping a clean sheet. So I wanted to create one tactic where you could go and, you could even use this away from home. But I wanted to see how I do at home because a defensively orientated tactic is annoying at home. So we have a defensive forward, inside forward here, we close down more. We got AP on support. We got inside forward here, close down more. We got Volante here. We got DM on support. This guy can easily be changed to a halfback, right? When you want to hold the lead, you can drop this halfback. This is a wingback, so then be able to counter. This fullback can also be changed into a wingback. Now, this is where the closing down becomes interesting. Because I have two players here, I want to funnel attacks through the middle because these inside forwards are going to take some time to come. Now, if I allow opposition teams time and space to bring the ball up, that means they can pass the ball back to their fullback, and then they can pass the ball to the central midfielder. Then they just, they just destroy us. So what we did was we asked the wing backs to close down much more. This brings them to the ball carrier earlier, forcing the ball carrier to make a decision. Do I cross? Do I turn back? Because the moment they turn back, they lose the ball. Or do I play inside? So they are forced to go inside one way or the other. So it's either going to be a cross coming inside or they're forced to turn in. So that's what I wanted to do. Now, sometimes they'll beat your player, go down the line is a risk I'm willing to take for the tactic, because more often than not, they'll be doing the crosses, because especially if the players have low bravery or the acceleration is slow, your players will do a good job. So we did this with the wing backs. We did this with the fullback closer, more few risky passes. You might want to tell this guy to do few risky passes as well. This guy can be a fullback, can be a wing back. So we've got central defender, sweeper, keeper. Now, interesting thing is when you turn this guy into a halfback. When you turn this guy into a halfback, you're going to have recycling of possession with this ball. This is the reason why I'm using a sweeper keeper. If your sweeper keeper has got half decent vision, right, and good kicking, he's going to hurl balls into spaces for these players, which is a very, very interesting form of recycling possession, because in our next match, that's exactly what happened. In our next match, we played Derby County. We were not expected to win this match. We came into this match and we won this game 2-1. Check out the number of shots he had. 3 shots on target. Once again, we played a game where we frustrated a better team into playing our style of football. We forced them to go inside where they had no options. They crossed the ball, we pick up the ball, we just work the ball back, and then we just basically kind of enjoyed ourselves. So the game started. I think the first chance we had was we had a corner taken, Graban. They scored this Mickey Mouse goal, and then we had a penalty when they brought down one of our players in the box. And this is our second goal. Now I want you to pay attention to how we're doing the transition. We've got players here, we got Clark here, we got Williams here. This is your fullback. We're trying to recycle possession. Look where your fullback has ended up. Because in this tactic, I want the wing back to come all the way around here to give these two targets, to get these two targets into play. So when we overload this side of the pitch, we create a lot of space here. So Yorondo gets away, gives in an unchallenged cross into the box, and bang, we get our goal. Now, this is a variant of my leatherhead system. Now, I have a leatherhead system that is in my book, I think, if I'm not mistaken. If it's not, then I do apologize. But this is slightly different, because what I've done here is I've created a defend you, because your players, you're not very good, right? You can't really pass forward because your players aren't that good. So we modified it for your team to have a defensive forward. So he actually looks back. So he helps with recycling possession. We have a halfback here as well. He helps with recycling possession too. Now the interesting thing is when you play halfbacks is they tiki-taka all the way with this goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's on attack duty. What do you think he's going to do? Ping this way and boom this way when he gets a chance. So as the opposition are forced higher up the pitch, because your goalkeeper has the ball, so the opposition are going to move up. When that happens, the goalkeeper just has to hurl a ball right over the top of the advancing team, and you got players in space. So it's a great counter-attacking move started by your own goalkeeper. So we got wing back overlapping, we got attacking playmaker here, closing down much more direct. We got defensive forward here, more direct, more with the chance to close down more. We got a winger on attack who's not doing anything. We don't want him to be occupied with all these defensive hullabaloo. We got this player originally was a ball winning midfielder, right? But we removed the close down more, we removed the tackle harder, and we also removed he just doesn't have a close down more. So he was actually a ball-winning midfielder at the start of the game, but I changed him to Carrillo because he is extremely aggressive. Banning me went all the way down to close down the goalkeeper. So we changed to Carrillo because we want to maintain defensive cohesion on this side of the pitch. Here we got a central midfielder on attack. He's looking to make a lot of passes that he might not be able to make. We've got a halfback here. who's not doing anything different. A wing back here closing down much more. Few risky passes, tackle harder, sit narrow so that he can help with the midfield recycling possession of the ball. Same as on the other side, DCB, central defender, who are both been told to mark tighter. Now this can be removed. Now it's not necessary to use the mark tighter instruction. Then distribute to centre backs and take short kicks. Now I played this on control fluid, play our defense, work ball into box, use offside trap, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and play much narrower. So far, the team looks like it's doing a lot better. We are definitely playing to your team strengths. Most importantly is this guy, Freddie Reed. In order for you to get the best of your team, you need a homegrown player. So don't forget, I just picked him up because the first name I saw that was HGC. But of course, you want to look for a player that's half decent with some potential for growth, but he has been promoted very rapidly through the ranks to join your team so that you guys can find some glory. And I hope that you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for their continued support of this channel. You make this kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. You guys take care. Have a good one. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.